The secret to buying gold or silver is not about predicting the future. I mean, if you're able to do it, I want to know about it. Let's head to the track. But for the rest of us mere mortals, there's an easier way. Now, I can't give out guarantees, but I have to think at least 50% of the time, it's 100% correct. We're coming off gold's worst week in 4 months, and I'm buying again. I think that's a pretty good example of contrarianism. Now, this week we hear from the central bankers at the ECB forum. We get PCE inflation data in the US, and there's really no way to know what any of that news is going to do to the price of gold. Really, there's no way to know if we're going to get other news. It's going to affect the price of gold. Really, all we know is how gold is performing compared to the recent past. So that's what I look at most to make the call of when to buy. Before we get back to it, if you're looking for precious metals, hit up SD Bullion. New customers even get gold and silver for spot. It's sdbullion.com/new. So this has been a really strange year for gold prices, at least to me. I was expecting falling prices that were going to lead up to a Fed pause or a pivot. I plan to be buying a fair amount along the way, especially at the beginning part of the year, and then the Silicon Valley Bank collapsed and everything changed. Prices shot up right as they looked like they were about to drop, and now we have the Fed switching gears on that pause. They're telegraphing 2 more rate hikes this year, so basically we have the exact opposite price trend from what I was expecting. I figured I'd be buying early in the year and then slowing way down from about July on. Now let's get into that bizarro effect for a minute, because all of these good-bad terms are just flipped. When gold is performing well, I almost talk about it in a negative light because I try to buy on the way down, not on the way up. So to me, a bad week for gold is actually a good time to buy it. If we're going to try to make that even more confusing, bad news is good for gold in that it pushes prices higher. So bad news creates a good week for gold, making it a bad time to buy again, at least in my head. So really, anytime I'm commenting on how gold is doing, how it's performing, it's just an observation. Good, bad. It gets to the point where good or bad are really hard to define. It's probably easier just to talk in terms of whether or not I'm buying. Now, last week, gold dropped, had its worst week since February, so you'd say that that's bad for gold. But I was happily buying. So looking forward, I still see an upturn down the road, but with the Fed playing that wait-and-see game, it's really hard to say when that will happen. Now, if we continue to see a slump in price in the meantime, though, I'm going to continue happily buying. It's kind of a strange thing. Buying when it's boring makes all the sense in the world logically if you stop and think about it, but it's rarely a motivator. It's just more fun to buy on the way up. And you see this in everything from coin shop inventory to traffic here on YouTube. When there's an emergent story like a bank failing, gold prices, they soar, coin shops get bought out, views here on YouTube go way up, and everyone is just generally excited. And that's exactly what happened earlier this year during the banking crisis. Prices shot up, everyone was excited about gold, but I wasn't excited to be buying at all, really. I did pick up some series releases, but I wouldn't have been buying otherwise. Now, I've mentioned this before. If I was just starting out, those price swings, they probably wouldn't govern my buying, at least not as much. It'd be more or less about convenience. And I get that it's easy to say that you're waiting when you've already hit a running goal. If you're just started buying, you don't want to wait, I totally get it. And really, none of us know whether or not a purchase we make today is going to be a good deal compared to that same purchase a week later. Waiting is always going to be a guess. So the point here is not about trying to predict the best prices. It just doesn't work. This is about something we can do and something we can actually do pretty easily. Something that works out over time, at least it has in my case. What I've found is that even though you can't predict the future, you can see the past. And if you buy on the way down, meaning you buy once the price has fallen a certain amount, the ups and downs of the natural price movement work out in your favor, again, over time. So I held off above $2,000 when prices were going higher, and I bought immediately below the 1920 mark as prices were falling. Now, if I had held off a few more hours, the price actually dropped to about 1910. And there's always the possibility that it's going to go further. There's a possibility gold could go to 1888. It could go further than that. But any of that is pure speculation. The only thing that I knew for sure at the point that I bought was that 1920 was a noticeable drop from 2050, the price had hit the month before. Now, what I've seen over the years is that most of the moves are relatively moderate. My big triggers are drops of 10 or 15% in price, and that's when I get excited. And there just are not a lot of those times. So if you're looking at a 6% drop and you're thinking that that signals a coming 20% drop, well, you might not ever get your opportunity to buy. Now, personally, I'd rather start in sooner than that. And if we do hit that 10% or 15%, again, those are just my numbers, that's when I buy more. The unknown part, future price, for me is just about likely price movement. Now, I see cases for $16.50 on the low side, $22.50 on the high side. That'd be over like the next 2 years. And I think that those are reality brackets for me. Anything outside of that would be an extreme case. Now, my buy target is $18.50. I'm talking about spot price, $1,850. Now, we've been above that for quite a while. I don't know if that's a realistic resting state for gold, but that's the number to me that would seem like everything else is calm. A rate pivot would send prices well above that in my mind. So I don't know when we're going to get there, but I think when we do, it's going to send the prices up, at least temporarily. So to me, $18.50 to $2,050, that's where I would expect the price to be. And then $200 either direction of that, that would not make me think that the sky is falling. So again, all those price expectations that I've thrown out, those are guesses. Those are comfortable price brackets to me. They're just personal ideas. But regardless of which direction gold ends up, buying in the periods of time when gold is on its way down results in a lower total cost versus buying on the spikes, buying on the way up. Now that part, it's just math or statistical probability. And who doesn't like math? Okay, well, who doesn't like math that leads to more gold? Let's call it good there. I'm curious what you think. This is your chance to confirm that I'm a weirdo buying on the way down. So let me know if I'm one of the few or if we're all doing it. Comments lately, they make me wonder. So let us know. And then while you're in the comments, be sure to hit that like button if you found any of this interesting. Be sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on if you'd like to see more on the topic. And if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.